What do, skibbity boo, it's your boy SeanyB, and today's video is a little bit different. We are going to be going over a fire giant exploit and how an SPL team used it to gain a competitive advantage within a game. The team that used this bug is the Sanguine esports team, and they used it in the second week of SPL play. And the reason that we're covering it is because I want you guys to be aware that this bug currently exists and how, if you see anything fishy, this might be what's going on. So, during week 2 of the Smite Pro League, our league operations team received numerous reports that Sanguine esports may have exploited an in-game bug involving Fire Giant. In normal use cases, the Fire Giant has a Ragnarok's Fury ability that deals unavoidable damage via meteors thrown at a player. But in the Sanguine vs. Space Station set from week 2 of the SPL, Sanguine Hunter Netroid utilized a method where he stands a certain distance away from the Fire Giant along the edge of the Fire Giant pit and is able to avoid damage from the meteors when they are thrown. This allowed him to solo the enhanced Fire Giant without losing a significant portion of his health, raising questions about the validity of this method. We have multiple pieces of video evidence that reproduce this exploit. In the following video clip, we can see that the Ragnarok's Fury's meteors deal no damage to the player if they were standing on the edge of the Fire Giant pit, even though the animation for those meteors has already triggered. So Sanguine was able to use their Hunter and kind of just box the enemy team off of Fire Giant, and then while they were boxing the enemy team off, Sanguine was able to use Netroid to go and use this little exploit. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the competitive ruling number 1. So as we can see, their team's just boxing them. So then Netroid is going to take a step back and start the Fire Giant. She's hanging out right along the edges. So far she's just taking normal damage. She's got lifesteal, so she is regenning a little bit. So right here is the question in play. All the meteors shoot, but her health bar does not go down. So this is the bug in question. And then she also does something where she resets the Fire Giant, and that will be important for later. But let's go ahead and take a look at the SPL Smite VOD version of it. I gotta fast forward a little bit, somehow I mistimed it. But if you guys are unaware, the Smite VOD is where they publish all of their SPL games. So if you're looking to watch an SPL game, Smite VOD is the YouTube channel to go to. So right here we can see them starting to gather around the Fire Giant. It's almost respawned. They're starting to box the enemy team. And now we are at the same time of the ruling number 1 clip. So Jinwei peels off and is starting the Fire Giant. The rest of Sanguine is successfully boxing Space Station Gaming. So let me go ahead and make it full screen for y'all. So right here we can see that Jinwei has come off. They're going to crash down onto the Kuzumbo. And then at this point in time, Fire Giant isn't even a concern. They used it almost as a bait. So in this first game, they started the bug, but didn't use it to kill the Fire Giant. But they were able to successfully get a deicide, wipe up the team, and then they just push and clean up Titan to win game 1. Let's go ahead and pause this and go back to the other page. And this video clip demonstrates the difference between not taking any damage from these meteors and taking damage as intended from Ragnarok's Fury. It also shows that this exploit can be used in multiple spots around the Fire Giant pit. So next we are going to take a look at the SNG competitive ruling number 2. So this happened in game 2 against Space Station. Jinwei starts it, goes to the edge. Here comes the meteors, no damage taken. So now she resets the Fire Giant. Resetting the Fire Giant restarts the attack chain. And on this second video, they actually secure the Fire Giant against Space Station. Sanguine did end up winning this game too. And if you were to take a look, they were ahead by 14,000 gold and 8 kills. They were really dominating, so I don't even think that they needed to use this bug to win the game. And it's kind of a shame that they did. After seeing this method used in the SPL and seeing it reproduced in other games, we reported the issue to the Smite development team. Following an investigation, the dev team concluded that this was indeed a bug, and not an intended mechanic designed for the Fire Giant. Our league operations and development team are working very closely with SPL players on game balance and uncovering any bugs or unintended mechanics in Smite. Per our SPL rule set, players are required to use the various communication resources we provide to them to report any bugs or exploits that they find or have reasonable knowledge of in Smite. As always, competitive integrity is our top priority in the SPL. We want our players to innovate and find new ways to improve their gameplay, utilize the game's intended mechanics, and push the skill boundaries of the league. However, we also need to ensure that such innovation takes place within the established rule set of the SPL and adheres to the intended design of the game. With this expectation in mind, we believe that the Fire Giant play we saw from Sanguine was not a valid strategy and appears to be a bug exploitation. After reviewing VODs from all of Sanguine's matches in Phase 1 of the SPL so far, our team found that this Fire Giant method was used in 3 out of 4 games, meaning what we saw in the SSG set was not an isolated incident, and the team has intentionally exploited this mechanic multiple times in the SPL. As a result, Sanguine has been issued a formal warning and will be given a $500 team fine for exploiting a bug during SPL matches. Our league operations team concluded that based on the game state at the times and the exploit was used, it is likely that Sanguine would have won their sets with or without the Fire Giant plays in question. Some exploits could lead to a loss in some cases, but we do not feel this is one of those instances, so we will not forfeit any of their wins from the first 2 weeks of the Pro League play. Moving forward, we are working with the development team to fix the Fire Giant mechanic in question, effective immediately. The Fire Giant strategy in question will be banned in all SPL games. So, if it was just this one instance or this one set, maybe even it happened twice in one set, the Sanguine might be able to chalk it up as like, oh, well, I was attacking Fire Giant trying to stay alive. I didn't notice that I wasn't taking damage from those meteors. But since it happened in 3 out of 4 games, that means it happened last week, and then it happened this week, back to back, and that they were aware of it. And the real issue is that they kind of have an agreement with Smite to report any bugs that they find and to not use them in SPL games. So I think a $500 fine is well deserved because it happened over 2 weeks. It is kind of like a iffy question in terms of it being a bug. Like, yes, they're supposed to take damage, but they aren't. I don't know. It's a gray situation. It's just a shame that they used it in both games. They would have won both games either way. They had a dominant performance against Space Station Gaming. Seeing this Fire Giant exploit in SPL sparked a lot of discussion within our community, and we'd like to take this opportunity to clarify a few key points that we saw coming up frequently during these conversations. We've seen some misunderstanding within the community around what is and what is not permissible means of dealing with the Fire Giant. In this particular case, the issue is twofold, and there are 2 topics being discussed. Resetting the Fire Giant's ability pattern / attack chain, along with its health, using the Fire Giant Pit to avoid damage from Ragnarok's Fury meteors, which is intended to be unavoidable damage. Resetting the Fire Giant's ability chain is legal and competitively permissible strategy, as being able to reset in this manner is part of the intended mechanical design of the Fire Giant. This mechanic is working as intended so long as the reset method continues to reset the Fire Giant's health and does not cause any other unintended issues. However, using the distance between the player and the Fire Giant to avoid receiving damage from Ragnarok's Fury is an illegal and impermissible method. Because it does not fall within the intended mechanical design of the Fire Giant, the meteors from Ragnarok's Fury are intended to home in and deal unavoidable damage once the player has triggered them. Even if the Fire Giant is reset as the ability fires, in practice, Ragnarok's Fury damage should work in the same way that tower damage does. As such, the strategy we see reproduced in the video above is considered a bug exploit, especially given that the player can clearly see the projectiles travel towards them, yet they take no damage. And the relevant rules. So this is a lot of legal talk. I'm going to kind of skip over some of it, but D is the important part of 4.2. Manipulation or exploitation of the game directly or indirectly to obtain an unfair advantage over players or users of the game, including but not limited to any of the following: using any injector, cheat, hack, third-party software, hardware, or other instruments, tools, materials, or other methods. This bug would classify as methods. So because they used a bug to gain an unfair advantage, and that's the issue here. 5.2, rules and violation. Fines. This is basically just saying we have the right to fine them. And that's all. A lot of legal talk. And then 6.7, this is kind of relevant. Without limiting other provisions in the rules, if a game-breaking bug is known or discovered, participants understand and agree that administrators may impose additional restrictions related thereto on participant at any time, including before or during any SPL game. Bug means a bug, defect, error, flaw, fault, or other failure of the game to perform under documentation, specification, requirements, developer expectation, reasonable player expectations, or as described. Well, that is going to be the end of this post and the end of this video. I just wanted to make a quick video on this to keep you guys updated on what's going on in the SPL season. There's a little more at the bottom. Participants understand and agree to use best efforts to report any bugs found promptly at the end of each SPL game. Any participant found to be exploiting or using one or more bugs known to said participant, or which reasonably should be known to said participant, may be immediately disqualified from the SPL and or SPL game. So my thoughts on this whole situation: I think Sanguine was going to win those games regardless. It's a shame that they got caught up using this bug. They definitely didn't need to. I'm glad that this bug was brought to the forefront of the Smite community. Now people know about it, and the developers are going to try to fix it, and it's not going to be allowed in further SPL games. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to support the YouTube channel, go ahead and stand up, turn around, sit on your mouse, and subscribe to the channel. If you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.